The WordFire Game Time console is designed for playing a multitude of word games. It also functions as a quad-screen clock for displaying the time, date, and a calendar. This presentation introduces the console with the images being generated by the console itself. WordFire's motto is that words are meaningful. At WordFire, we believe that nothing makes us more human than the ability to create and command language. As such, WordFire's mission is to develop word-based games to stimulate and amuse the mind. And one of the ways we do this is by challenging players to fill in blanks with missing words. At WordFire, our focus is on games that challenge one's language skills. Although some people play mind games to take advantage of others, at WordFire we encourage you to play mind games with friends and family members, because words are key to not getting bored. The WordFire Game Time console accommodates up to 4 players. Our logo signifies 4 players seated around a table, each represented by a unique cardinal direction. Even in this internet age, we believe that there is still something special about people gathered around a table, where they can make direct eye contact with one another, slap each other on the back, and even throw popcorn at each other if desired. Speaking of which, the console includes a large food bowl at the center for holding snacks. As mentioned, each player is represented by a cardinal direction. For example, this screen indicates that the viewer is the south player. Seated across from him or her is the north player. And as shown, the west player is to the left, and the east player is to the right of the south player. Now, you don't have to have 4 players to use the game console. It could be used for just 1 or 2 players, but like they say, the more the merrier. The Game Time console comprises several system components. Most prominently, there are 4 7-inch LCD screens, 1 for each player. Now, much of the console is driven by a single parallax propeller microcontroller. And while it's just a microcontroller, it has 8 cores and is very reliable and quite adequate for powering the game console. What's more, there is no operating system involved, so there's no need for updates or patches and little concern about viruses. As such, the console should be able to operate reliably for years to come. Augmenting the screens are 4 full-sized QWERTY keyboards. The keyboards are kind of the joysticks of the console, so to speak. At least we hope that people will get a lot of joy from playing word games using the keyboards. Now, each player has his or her own private screen to see game content, and a keyboard to provide input. Players don't need to take turns. It's no exaggeration that the keyboards are key to the Game Time console, and we think key to not getting bored, if you'll pardon the puns. Games or other programs are conveniently stored on full-sized SD cards. A game menu allows for up to 50 programs to be stored on a single card, and we intend for most of the games to use regular text files rather than encrypted files, such that others can add additional game content. Plus, programmers can create their own games if desired. While video games are possible, the console is designed for, and frankly more suitable for, text-based word games. As to the kinds of games possible, the sky's the limit. We believe an important game type will be games that involve filling in blanks, but really a multitude of game types are possible. Here is a list of games that have either been developed or are in development. What follows are some static screenshots for these games. Let's take a look at these examples one by one. Things People Say is a fill-in-the-blank type game, where players fill in missing words in short sentences. Sentences can be completed in any order, though sometimes speed counts. Here, a player has already supplied the words "just how" in the second sentence. That's just how it goes sometimes. And the fifth sentence is admonishing someone to put a little elbow grease into it. The first version of this game has more than 10,000 sentences, allowing players to play again and again without repeating sentences too much. Hang 5 is similar to the classic Hang 5 game, Hangman game, wherein you try to figure out words by guessing letters. However, this is Hangman on steroids, so to speak, because you try to figure out 5 different words at the same time. Naturally, guessing and luck play a role, but don't guess too much or your robot will lose all of its appendages. And that can't be good. Mumbo Jumbo is a sentence unscrambling game in which you unscramble the words of a sentence by typing just the first letter of each word that you want to try as the next word. If you get a word right, it turns yellow and moves into position. The first version of this game has around 2,500 sentences to unscramble. Hidden in Plain Sight is a word find game, where you try to find words scattered amongst a field of random letters. To make things more challenging, or to help one out, depending on how you look at it, the random field of letters is constantly changing. 10 words are hidden on each screen, and it takes a lot of concentration to find them all in the time allotted. To reveal a word, you just need to type its first letter. Now this may result in revealing a different word than the one that you intended, that just so happens to begin with the same letter, but that's just part of the luck of the game. Hot Topics is a word association game for all kinds of topics. For the example shown, players are asked to type words that are somehow connected with the word yellow. So, for example, taxis and bananas and cheese are often yellow, and the player is in the process of typing the word journalism for yellow journalism, which refers to news that is sensationalized, exaggerated, or even bogus, just to sell newspapers. Now, this game requires players to really open their mind to let words come to them. Things to reflect on tasks players to complete pairs of words that are frequently found juxtaposed. For example, as shown, in the middle pair, the words patent and pending have often been put together. And the first pair is capacity crowd, when a venue like a concert is full. The second pair is unbridled enthusiasm. The fourth pair is circumstantial evidence. But I didn't have to tell you that, did I? And can you figure out what the last pair is? Solitary what? Solitary cards? No, there are too many blanks for that. Keep thinking. But the missing word does begin with the letter C. Try to unshackle your mind. Now presently this game includes 10,000 pairs of words. And lastly, Parafill is not a new kind of wax, but rather a game where players compete to fill in missing words in paragraphs about various topics. The particular topic shown has to do with creatures. When completing words, order is not important. Type what you know or think that you know first and worry about the others later. Here, the player has already filled in the verb needs and the pronoun they, but has skipped over the word thrive. And the player is currently typing the word hands in the line big brains and hands to make clothes. Players really need to tap into their language skills to play the game, using a combination of grammar and logic and even general knowledge. What a challenging thing to do, don't you think? While simple in theory, we've saved it for last because we think it will be a kind of killer app of sorts for the game console. The WordFire team is small. Jim is the product developer who wishes he had more time to make game content. Gary is our resident jack of all trades and master of none, his words, who loves both wood and words. And Carol handles procurement and translation for WordFire and functions as an advisor. The most important part of the WordFire team will be the people that create and play the games, and that's where we hope that you will come in. While this concludes this brief presentation, we hope that the best is yet to come. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.